Welcome to the Tennessee National Guardsman podcast, where we share extraordinary stories of resilience, triumph, and human spirit. I'm your host, Corporal Kalina, and today we have the privilege of sitting down with Sergeant First Class Garrett Cushman. Throughout his military career in the Tennessee Army National Guard, Cushman went on 2 deployments, neither of which compared to his current battle with cancer. From undergoing surgery to remove a tumor the size of a baseball, to maintaining a high level of fitness during radiation treatment. Please join me in welcoming Sergeant First Class Garrett Cushman. I want to start at the very beginning, when you enlisted and your initial ambitions when joining the Tennessee National Guard.
So I enlisted kind of on a whim type deal. I had seen my cousin and her husband at the time, Chief Victoria Murphy, just what the Guard had done for them at that time. And I was a sophomore in college, kind of lost. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Didn't know where I wanted to go. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. They talked it up. And my uncle at the time, he was very supportive. So I enlisted on April 7th, 2011 as an infantryman. And I was assigned to E Troop 2nd Squadron 278 in Livingston. That same day, coincidentally, they unlisted. My uncle passed away. So, kind of motivated me to, he was in a bad way with some worse people, so it motivated me to do better. And so from there on, after seeing Victoria and her husband Patrick, how they went about life, how they handled themselves and carried themselves, I knew I wanted to be AGR at some point. I was like, I'm joining the Guard, this is what I want to do full time. So I went to basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia, came back, finished my last 2 years of college, graduated December 2013. January 2014, I was hired on as a military technician with 269th Military Police Company as an admin tech. I served there for, I was in and out of 269 from 2014 to 2020. I was finally hired on AGR with the 117th Military Police Battalion in Athens as a medical readiness NCO. And then I deployed with them to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba in 2016. That was a good one. That one was fun. That wasn't a deployment. That was operationally it could be stressful, but other than that, it was a good time. A lot of MWR activities. Good group of people I went there with. Came back, stayed at 117th for maybe a few more months, and then I was command directed back to 269 in 2018. Stayed there until July of 2020, promoted to Staff Sergeant at Det 1268 in Alamo. I was supposed to go to Ranger School in June of 21. I knew whenever I graduated infantry school, I wanted to do it. That was where I wanted to be. I wanted to get back on the infantry side of things full time if I could, by all means. But I definitely wanted to get a Ranger tab. So by the grace of God, I was reserved to go to Ranger School. Went in June of 21, passed RTAC, got to Ranger, passed RAP week, got the Derby. I was injured during the Derby phase of Ranger School. On my drive home, after I was dropped, I get a phone call saying, hey, we're going to deploy. We just got notified that we're going to deploy to Africa. Life didn't stop from basically November of 2020, from whenever I PCS'd to Alamo and moved into my house in Jackson. It never slowed down, and it hasn't yet. Deployed to Africa, January of 22. That one was just long. And I had a wife and 3 kids at home. So it was stressful on my wife, of course. Holy mackerel, she was handling the whole household by herself. But it was stressful on me too. And towards the tail end of deployment, I started, every time I'd stand up, get lightheaded. I'd have really bad photophobia going from one room to another as far as adjustment of light. Completely white for 10 seconds. And I was thinking it was just from sun exposure. The sun in the Horn of Africa is not friendly whatsoever. So towards the end of that deployment, I saw an opportunity also to get back to being an infantryman. So I took a lateral to 1st Squadron, 278th in Henderson. I was excited. I was pumped. I was like, heck yeah, man. This is what I wanted. I'm going to get it and get back to where I'm going to go. I got another seat to go back to Ranger School. Never stopped training, never quit. And get back. November 11th, 2022. Finally got my family back. About to start a new job. Feeling good. Started having migraines just about every day. And, again, thinking it's just, from the malaria pills or something that they gave us while we were overseas. Like, okay, it's not just the nightmares that come with it. It's also the, hey, you're going to have some headaches or something. And it continued. And then January, I started losing vision in my right eye. And I was like, why am I starting to, fall apart a little bit? Never mind. I'm going to ignore it for a second, keep driving on. And then I couldn't ignore it anymore. Finally went and saw my doctor, and I was like, hey, we need to check this out. And it was symptoms of a torn retina, per se. And he thought the same thing. He referred me to an ophthalmologist. Went to an ophthalmologist, and he was like, both your optic nerves are severely swollen. My initial thought was, crap, my military career is on the line now. I was like, what is going on? What is going on? And me, previously being a medical residence NCO, my mind was going out 10,000 different ways of, oh no, I'm going to be med boarded or whatever may have you. And he was like, we're going to have to order an MRI. Like, okay, all right. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Hopefully it's, idiopathic, meaning it's just randomized. It's no idea what it is. We have no idea what's causing it. We'll figure it out. I had an MRI February 9th. I got a call an hour later. Said, you got a mass on your brain. I just started that new job in Henderson 3 months prior. And I looked at my boss, and he looked at me. He was like, what's up? And my face was white. I told him I just needed a minute. Everything went through my head. My family, my life, my job. What's going to happen? Definitely my family. Because if I don't have a job, they can't live. My wife's a stay-at-home mom, 3 kids. Fortunately, we're able to do that because of my job in the Tennessee Army National Guard. And they blessed me with it. I'm able to live life how I want to because of it and continue serving. So I didn't know which way was up at that point. I just knew that I just had to keep doing what I knew. And that was to keep working, keep looking towards the future as best I could, and drive on. All the things that was pounded into me whenever I was a young private on Sand Hill in Fort Benning, Georgia in 2011. I never lost that mindset. My kids hate me because I try to pound that mindset into them a little bit. Hey, let's not cry over spilled milk. Let's just keep pushing on. Forget about the small things. Let's focus on the big things here. And this was something really big. And I knew it was going to have a lot of future implications, but I tried not to focus on that. Just try to stick day by day as best I could. And now, obviously, my desire is to stay in as much as I can. Fortunately, I was promoted to Sergeant First Class in October of 23. And the G3 is the Assistant Quota Source Manager and a training NCO. So good things happen. I'm continuing on with my career, thankfully. But after getting that phone call, I immediately went into, battlefield analysis, basically. What do I have to do? How can I, get this element to attack this foreign invader that's inside my body? What are the resources I'm going to need? Who are the main points of contact that I need to get in order to handle it? But all the beautiful things the Tennessee Army National Guard has given me the ability to fight everything. And especially, aside from the battlefield, outside. It's different whenever you have a battle that you're fighting inside that you can't even see. And I will never lose my desire to serve because of what the Tennessee Army National Guard has given me.
And this is no small feat either.
No.
In the grand scale of things.
No.
And support, whether it's personal at home or even within the Guard itself, because the Guard is a tight-knit community. How have other Guardsmen rallied behind you during all of this?
You're going to get me going here. So, I told you, I looked at my boss whenever I first got that phone call. I went to the bathroom. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know whether to cry or scream or to, just... All I could do, I just got down on my knees and I prayed. And I was like, Lord, what do I do? What do I need to just show me the right way here? I walked back in the office, and my boss at the time was a Sergeant First Class Patterson. He was like, what's wrong? I told him. He was like, go home. Now, go home. So, one, just that initial, take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Handle it. We got this. Don't worry about work. We're here. Take care of yourself. That initial, just that small little tiny bit of support was reflected, paved the way for how it was gonna go. I showed back up 2 days later. All those guys in there, we reiterated to me, we have you. We have you. We have this. Anything you need, anything at all, we got you, from the top down. And I felt that. That was huge. Huge. Obviously, I had my family. But to have somebody outside and within my organization, massive. It definitely helped me fight and focus on taking care of it and continue to focus on taking care of it. But with my mindset and how I work, I can't just sit at home and think about the things or, wait for something to happen. I have to actively be doing my job and everything. They constantly kept telling me, dude, just go home. We don't need you here right now. You can go. But I had surgery March 23rd, 2023. I had a full right temporal craniotomy. We didn't know what it was. We didn't know if the tumor was cancerous or not at the time. We just knew that it was the size of a baseball and it needed to get out of there. I woke up and my AO and Sergeant Patterson showed up pretty soon after that. I felt that support. I still do. It's incredible. I've felt it through this whole organization. That was huge. When they left, I cried, just because of, man. You can't beat that. There's nothing like a brotherhood and a sisterhood in the United States military. There really isn't. That was massive. Oh, man. And the continuous texts and phone calls that I received after surgery, we had no idea what we were ahead of or what we were about to experience. I just had my head cut open. It was an insurmountable amount of pain. But that helped. It eased things a lot. And It saved me from going insane, being stuck in a Vanderbilt University hospital for 6 days. And Victoria and Patrick, they've been huge too. She's like my sister, and I remember calling her whenever I first found out I had a tumor, and she immediately went into operations mode and was like, "Okay, what are you going to do? Here's how we got to do this." And she was great, and she still is great. Oh man, sorry. We ain't even gotten started yet. But after the surgery, I was at home for a couple weeks, and I was about to go back to work. And then I get a call April 9th after they had got the pathology back. I'd already looked at the cold pathology that they did during surgery. The surgery itself was about 8 hours. The cold pathology revealed that there was mitotic activity, meaning that the cells were actively dividing in the tumor, which could indicate cancer, could indicate really anything. But we got the pathology back, received a call from neurosurgery clinic April 9th. It was cancer. It was a grade 3 anaplastic astrocytoma, IDH mutant. So it was aggressive. I'd already done a plethora of research on what to expect per se, so I wasn't necessarily surprised, and I knew what the treatment plan was going to be right off the bat. But again, I didn't know what to think. I basically just received a call, "Hey, you have cancer." I never thought it would happen to me. I don't think anybody ever really thinks it's going to happen to them, but cancer is a nasty beast, and it impacts so many people, whether directly or indirectly. And my wife looked at me, she was like, "What did they say?" And I told her, and her immediate thought was like, "Okay, so what's our next steps?" type thing. She didn't really lose it yet, and then made a call to my mom, let her know, let all the family know, "Hey, this is what I got," because they were all like, "Hey, once you hear something, I need to know something." Okay, cool, got it. But I really lost it. A few days later, whenever I talked to my previous boss, now Sergeant Major Colton Kaufman with 117th, that man's always had my back ever since I was in E4. He has always guided me, and I've always looked at him as a true mentor. Whenever I talked to him, I lost it. Don't know why, but I did. It's just something different whenever you're telling people that are close to you, that are friends, for news that you never expected. And then all of the thoughts just started cycling through my mind. My wife, my kids, my family, their lifestyle. How is this going to impact everybody else? How long do I have? I rarely ask that question. But I mean, yeah, you can only imagine. Your mind's gonna go there. It's gonna go there. Everybody's gonna WebMD it and say, "Oh gosh, what's the survival rate? This, that, and the third." I tried my damnedest not to do that. Tried not to, because I didn't want to hear the statistics. I didn't want to look at them. I'm not a statistic. You're not a statistic. So, found out what the game plan was going to be. I was going to have to go through 6 weeks, 42 treatments of radiation, and was going to have to do the chemotherapy with it. 42 straight days of chemotherapy. All I kept thinking was like, "Oh gosh, chemo! I'm going to get sick and look like everyone on the pamphlets and in the commercials and everything else." But I did my darndest to make sure I wasn't going to look like that or feel that way. I kept begging my neurosurgeon, "When can I go to the gym?" please, when can I go to the gym? I was like, can we come up with some kind of compromise here? You got me sitting on a couch for 6 weeks, man. I mean, come on. And luckily, my neurosurgeon, God bless him, he's one of the top 25 in the country, but he's so down to earth and so cool. He was like, all right, here's the deal. Because I like you, you can start walking. That helped, especially after receiving a cancer diagnosis. I mean, that was my outlet. I would just go out and walk. And it would relieve a lot of stress. A lot of stress. So, I mean, I met with the radiation oncologist first a couple weeks later. Kind of broke it down for me on how it was going to work. I was like, okay. I was going to have to be fitted for a mask that would cover the entirety of my face, and they were going to have to make markings to where, you know, the laser beams could hit and do their thing. Okay, cool. So I'm going to be strapped to a table is what you're saying. All right. Hey, no claustrophobia there at all whatsoever. Okay, cool. And then I met with my oncologist who was overseeing everything. He was the captain of the ship, per se. And he broke it down. And I remember him asking me, he was like, do you want to know the survival rates and stuff? I said, no. No, not this time. He was like, all right, that's fair. Good deal. He was like, I only ask because everyone else always asks. I'm like, all right. But they had to delay treatment because I had what was called a pseudomeningocele. Basically, the dura, which protects your brain, mine did not close in time like it was supposed to prior to treatment. So I had a huge excess of cerebral spinal fluid on the side of my head, and it came out about an inch or two. So they had to drain it and everything else and make sure that was stable before I could begin treatment. But finally I began treatment towards the end of May. I didn't know what to think. After the first couple, I was like, okay, this isn't so bad. But all I kept thinking when I'd leave treatment is, when can I get back to work? When can I get back to work? I did my darndest to make sure that I could work during radiation. I was straight up told, no, you don't have a choice. You're going to stay home. We love you. We don't want you to burn yourself out. So again, insert military support system. Though I wanted to work, they knew what was better for me at the time, even though I didn't. And I'm forever grateful for that. After just being gone on a year-long deployment and then getting a freaking cancer diagnosis, it gave me the right time with my family that I needed. As hard as it was, with the amount of medication and everything that I was on, it altered my personality pretty bad. So, again, trying to rebuild a relationship with your spouse. Yeah, most of us that have deployed have been through the yellow ribbon briefs about, coming home and reintegration and everything else. We hadn't even really attempted it yet. We'd put forth an effort, but then this happened. It was extremely difficult. I wasn't myself. I was a terrible person to my wife. I was just angry all the time. I was just mad. And I kept asking myself why. I knew why, but I was oblivious to it. Just yelling at my kids. For what? And I blame it on the meds, and they did alter my personality and everything pretty harshly. And so once I was able to stop them, thank God that I was able to stop them and went on and finally, recovered myself back a little bit. But that time with my family was huge. I needed it. I really needed it. After radiation was complete, and then that first cycle of chemo was done. We went on a family vacation, took a week, just went to Miramar Beach in Florida. That was great too, because I got a nice little 3-week break before I had to start chemo all over again. So the oncologist told me I was going to have to do 12 total cycles. On a 28-day cycle window, 5 on and then 23 off. At the time, I'd already heard rumbles that I might be, picked up for promotion and stuff, and I'm like, okay, hey, there's a light here in all this bad that's been going on. I didn't want any more change. I'd already had enough change for the last 3 years, and put my family through enough over the last 3 years. But I was about to begin, one of the worst parts of treatment. But I prayed and I was like, hey, I'll take whatever you throw. It's not my plan anymore. Hasn't been this whole time. And the first cycle of what is called adjuvant chemo, I didn't think anything of it. I was fine. Didn't get sick. The first week after, I was extremely tired. I'd already been flat out exhausted after radiation and the regular chemotherapy, but I was really tired, and that's whenever I finally started work back. But those guys there, they knew it. They could recognize it. They're like, "Are you okay, man? Do you need to just step away and work? Do you need to work from home today? Do you need to just stay at home for a little bit?" And I couldn't. I had a gym there. And fortunately, that was huge too, just being able to work out. But I tried to maintain that mindset that I mentioned previously of just, I can't quit, I can't do it. And the week following that first adjuvant cycle, I was just extremely tired and a lot of pain. And I looked at 5-year relative survival rates for my type of tumor, for my age group. 5-year relative survival for my age group is 27%, meaning that only 27% of patients are alive past that 5-year mark. 10-year relative survival was 11. My type of tumor had an 86% chance of recurrence, meaning it was going to come back. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Jokingly, I always try to put humor on some stuff because humor helps some people get through it. And the guys in Henderson joined in on this too. I named my tumor Skynet from Terminator because once I had the MRI, the symptoms from the tumor picked up even more, so it became self-aware. Have you seen Terminator?
Yes.
There you go. It became self-aware. So we had also deemed, once I looked that up and told them that, they were like, okay, if it comes back, it's Cyberdyne. So, yeah, all right, sprinkle a little humor on that. But again, looking at those survival rates, I was like, no, that's not going to be me. Not going to be me. I'm not a statistic. I'm a party of one. Unique. I mean, you can't put a number on it. And I've maintained that as best as I could. Because what are my kids going to think if I just lay down and become a statistic? I need to do what I can to ensure it doesn't come back. And not only that, but to set an example, not only for my children and my wife, but for those around me. If it does, so be it. But if I can make some kind of impact, especially in this organization, to not quit regardless of your circumstances. I feel like I've served a purpose, and I've done good by the Tennessee Army National Guard, and done what the leaders before me have advised me to do, trained me to do. Cancer is a beast. About to enter my 8th cycle of chemotherapy. It gets worse. It does as it builds up. I had hair loss during radiation, primarily just on the side and the back of my head and some spots on my left side. But as I've progressed through chemo, it's been more spotting around and stuff. I mean, luckily it's not intravenous, it's pill form. So, but I've always tried to also maintain a positive light on it. My wife takes photos and videos of everything. So, help document it for all those around me. I'm gonna get a drink of water real quick if you don't mind. Sorry, I went on a spiel there.
That's okay. And so this is such a huge, life-changing, and with the narrative that it sits in typically, it is negative. I can't even say like 2 times out of 10, no, it's 9 times out of 10, it's always a negative conversation to be had.
It is.
And I think it's incredible that you focus on having it positive. And so with that, how are you able to maintain that positive outlook when it comes to future challenges even, while still undergoing all of this treatment, the process?
From where I have been to, even though I'm still going through treatment, to where I am now, being able to overcome, that's my motivation. I've already overcome this much. What's 5 more chemotherapy cycles? Or if it comes back, what's another craniotomy? I've already done it. Send it. That's my motivation. You've already done this once. I'm better for it, for sure. I've gained experience and understood what it can do. Let's go.
And I know you've said that you want to leave an impact on those around you, no matter really who it is. What advice would you give to someone, just in general?
First, find that inner I can't and figure out what quiets it, and then shut it up. That's something that nobody can tell you. That's something you have to find within inside yourself. It's the minute you say that I can't, you won't. You won't. No matter how loud it screams. If you don't give in. If you don't give in and you keep driving on, you'll win. Or you'll achieve something that you never thought you could. And in effect, you may inspire others around you. You may have, seriously done something that you never thought was possible. Don't give in to the inner I can't. That's it.
Well, I appreciate you for being able to openly share your story. I know it's not anything easy to just talk about openly, especially for a lot of people out there. Do you have any final words you want to put out there? Or?
Oh, man. Don't freaking quit. Don't quit. I'm not done yet, but I'm not going to quit. You'll see me in the gym here in about 2 hours. I haven't let the pain or the fatigue or anything stop me. Stop me from working. Stop me from playing with my kids. You know, being with my wife, being present. Being present. And find a support system that definitely has your back 100%. It's not just the Guard. I mean, our church family was huge too. Huge. People make a difference. Find your people. No one can do life alone. But damn it, nobody can do cancer alone. No one. No matter how much you try to hide inside yourself, no one can do cancer alone.
Well, again, I appreciate it. Thank you for taking this time.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sergeant Cushman, for sharing your story with us today. Your story serves as a beacon of hope, reminding us all of the strength that lies within us when faced with life's greatest challenges. We wish you success in your military career and beyond. And to our listeners, join us next time on the Tennessee Guardsman podcast as we continue to uncover extraordinary stories of triumph. Until then, keep believing in the power of resilience and never underestimate the strength that resides within you.